Daniel Reed never planned to stand alone before an alien throne. He was a starship engineer, not a diplomat or soldier. Yet here he was, hands bound behind him, boots scraping the polished crystal floor of the royal hall of Zalthia. The hall was huge, lit by soft blue flames and floating glass orbs. Strange alien banners hung from the high ceiling. The air smelled sweet, like flowers mixed with metal. Alien guards in silver armor flanked every wall. All of them had the same cold, green eyes, never blinking. At the far end of the hall sat Queen Virelli of the Zalthians. She looked young, maybe Daniel's age, though who could tell with aliens. Her skin shone faintly in the torchlight, a soft lavender shade that shimmered when she moved. A thin silver crown rested on her dark hair. Her eyes, deep gold, studied Daniel with an expression he couldn't read. Daniel felt sweat trickle down his neck. He wondered if the queen could see it from her high throne. He wondered if she cared. A voice beside him made him jump. "Kneel, human," said one of the guards, shoving his shoulder. Daniel stumbled, but stayed standing. His wrists hurt where the cuffs dug into his skin. He lifted his chin. "I'd rather stand," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. A soft laugh echoed across the hall. It was the queen. She leaned forward, resting her chin on her hand. "Brave, or foolish," she said in clear, accented English. Most humans would kneel by now. Daniel swallowed. He wished his translator earpiece worked better. Zalthian words were tricky, too many sharp sounds that didn't match human tongues. Still, he caught her meaning. "I'm not most humans," he said. The queen's golden eyes glittered. She spoke to her advisors in her own language, a flowing musical tongue. They argued back, but Virelli lifted one slender hand, and silence fell. "Bring him closer," she ordered. 2 guards pushed Daniel forward. He stumbled up the steps to the throne and stood just a few feet away from her. He could see the delicate patterns on her silver robe now, tiny symbols that looked like stars and spirals. The queen looked him up and down like he was an animal in a market.
Ow.
Daniel felt anger stir in his chest, but he forced it down. He needed to stay calm. He needed to survive. "Your people came to my world without permission," Virelli said. Her voice was soft, but carried through the hall. "Your captain made promises, then broke them. Your soldiers tried to take our RO without paying tribute." Daniel bit back a reply. It was true. The mission had gone wrong fast. They were supposed to trade for Zalthian crystal, the strongest energy source known. But when the talks failed, the captain ordered a stealth mining operation. The Zalthians found out. The humans scattered. Daniel didn't run fast enough. He cleared his throat. "I'm an engineer. I fix ships. I didn't give any orders." Virelli tilted her head. "And yet you stand here in front of me. You are the only human we captured." She stood now, and Daniel saw how tall she was, taller than him by a head. She stepped closer, so close he could see the faint glow under her skin, tiny veins. "Of silver light? You will not sleep in chains tonight," Virelli said suddenly. Daniel blinked. "What?" She turned to her advisors. "Remove his cuffs. Give him a guest's robe. Show him to my wing." The guards hesitated. One spoke quickly, in Zalthian, voice sharp. Virelli's reply was a command that silenced him. A guard unlocked Daniel's cuffs. His wrists burned with sudden freedom. He rubbed them and stared at the queen. "Why?" he asked, too surprised to keep his mouth shut. "Why not throw me in a cell?" The queen smiled, a small, secret smile that made the hairs on Daniel's neck stand up. "Because you are more useful alive than locked away, and because tonight you will keep me company." Daniel's mind raced. "Company?" Virelli stepped closer, so only he could hear. "In my people's tradition, a ruler must see into the heart of a possible ally or enemy by sharing a night under the same roof. By ancient custom, my bed is open to you." Daniel's mouth went dry. His brain scrambled to make sense of her words. She didn't mean what it sounded like, did she? Virelli turned away, already bored with his shock. She spoke to the guards. "Take him to the royal wing. Wash him, feed him, and make sure he finds my chamber before moonrise." 2 guards grabbed his arms, not roughly, but firmly. "Daniel, tried to look back at the queen, but she had already settled back on her throne. Ignoring him like he was yesterday's gossip, as they led him away, Daniel's mind raced. He had come here as a prisoner, but now he was a guest, or something like it. He had no idea what sharing a queen's bed really meant for an alien people. But one thing was clear: he wasn't here to sleep. He was here to be tested. As the massive doors of the hall closed behind him, Daniel took a deep breath. The smell of alien flowers followed him down the corridor. He felt the weight of the palace's crystal walls pressing in. He was alone on an alien world, surrounded by people who didn't trust him. The queen was either his best chance at freedom or the deadliest trap he had ever faced. He clenched his fists, ignoring the soreness in his wrists. He wouldn't kneel. He wouldn't beg. If Queen Virelli thought a human could be broken easily, she was in for a surprise. Tonight, he would share her bed. But first, he would show her in every alien watching what it truly meant to be human. Daniel stood still as two Zalthian servants wrapped him in a fresh robe of soft blue cloth. He spoke little, only giving him small bows when he thanked them. They were careful with him, not rough, but not friendly either. He could feel their eyes on him, curious yet cold. After a warm bath that washed off the dirt and fear of the day, Daniel sat alone in a small guest room. The walls were made of clear crystal that glowed faintly with soft blue light. Outside the window, he could see the alien city of Zalthia at night, towers of silver and green stone, streets lined with hanging lanterns that floated in the air like drifting stars. His mind was not calm. He tried to understand what the queen wanted. Share her bed. Did she mean to test him, trick him, use him? He thought about escaping, but where would he go? The planet was hostile, the people loyal to Virelli, the guards were everywhere. No human ships were near enough to rescue him. If he ran, he'd be dead before he reached the city gates. A soft knock broke his thoughts. The door slid open, and a young Zalthian girl stepped in, dressed in simple white cloth. She bowed low. "The queen waits for you, Daniel Reed," she said in careful English. Daniel stood up slowly. His heart beat faster. He nodded. "Lead the way." The girl led him through long hallways of glowing crystal and silver arches. The palace felt alive, almost humming under his bare feet. Every corner smelled of strange flowers and warm spices. Alien guards nodded as he passed. Some stared at him with open suspicion. Finally, they stopped before a tall door covered in carved symbols. The girl bowed again and stepped aside. Daniel knew he had to enter alone. He took a deep breath and pushed the door open. Inside, the queen's private chamber was wide and soft with low lights. Pillows and woven carpets covered the floor. In the center stood Queen Virelli, dressed not in heavy royal robes, but in a simple flowing garment of silver fabric. She looked almost like an ordinary woman, if an alien queen could ever look ordinary. Virelli turned when she heard him, her golden eyes fixed on his face, searching for any sign of fear or pride. She gave a small, amused smile. "You came. Good. Many humans would have run." Daniel stepped forward, trying to keep his voice calm. "Didn't see much point in running. Your people would catch me before I crossed the first wall." The queen tilted her head, as if testing his words. For hidden fear, she motioned for him to sit on a round cushion near a low table. She poured a sweet-smelling drink into 2 cups. Daniel sat carefully, crossing his legs. He accepted the cup she offered, but did not drink yet. He studied her face instead. Virelli studied him back. "Do you know why you're here?" she asked softly. Daniel thought for a moment. To prove something, or to fail some test? Virelli's smile widened. "Smart? Yes. A test. Old custom. Before my ancestors trusted outsiders, they made them stay close. No lies survive when two souls share the same night." Daniel frowned. "So you want me to confess something?" The queen laughed lightly, not mocking, but curious. Perhaps I want to know your true heart. What do you think of my people? Do you fear us? Hate us?" Daniel sipped the drink. It was sweet, like honey mixed with herbs. chose his words carefully. I don't hate you. I don't really know you. I only know what happened. My people needed your crystals. Your people didn't trust us. Both sides made mistakes. Vareli's eyes shone brighter in the soft light. She leaned closer across the table. But why did you come here, Daniel Reed? Duh. A simple engineer? Why not a soldier or a prince? Daniel let out a tired laugh. I wish I knew. I was just fixing engines. My captain said we needed all hands for the mission. When things went bad, he left. I stayed behind to finish the repairs. Your guards caught me before I reached the launch deck. The Queen's fingers drummed at the table, so you were loyal to your mission, even when your leaders ran away. Daniel shrugged. Somebody had to fix the ship. If I didn't, nobody would get home. Vareli was silent for a long moment. She looked away, staring into a tall window where pale moons floated in the sky. You humans are strange, proud but reckless, loyal but dangerous. You burn bright, but you leave ashes behind. Daniel set down his cup. We're not perfect, but we don't give up. That's one thing you should know about us. Vareli turned her golden eyes back to him. For a moment, she looked less like a queen and more like a curious student. Tell me, Daniel Reed, what would you do if I set you free tonight? Out. Daniel's chest tightened. He thought about lying, telling her what she wanted to hear. But he saw that sharp look in her eyes. She would know. So he told the truth. I'd ask for a ship. I'd fly home. I'd warn my people not to make the same mistake. And I'd tell them there's more to Zalvia than minerals and trade routes. The Queen's smile faded, replaced by something deeper. Respect, maybe. She stood and walked around the table. Daniel stayed seated as she circled behind him. He felt the soft brush of her robe as she passed. She stopped at his side and touched his shoulder lightly. You speak honestly. That is rare here, even among my own people, she said. Daniel looked up at her. Then maybe you should listen more to people who don't bow every time you speak. Her eyes widened, then she laughed, a real laugh, bright and ringing in. The quiet chamber. Perhaps I will. Tonight you will stay here. Not as a prisoner, not as a slave. As my guest and my question. Daniel raised an eyebrow. Your question? Vareli leaned closer, her face inches from his. Yes, you are the question my people fear to ask. Can humans be trusted? Can they share power without burning everything? Tonight you will answer. Me. Not with words, with the truth in your eyes when dawn comes. Daniel's heartbeat drummed in his ears. He didn't know if this was a trap or a chance, but he knew one thing. He wouldn't flinch. He wouldn't kneel. The Queen stepped, back and motioned to a soft sleeping couch by the far wall. Rest here. I will rest there, she said, pointing to another couch opposite his. Our customs say no walls, no locked doors, no guards, only open eyes and open minds. Daniel nodded slowly. He lay back on the couch, but his mind stayed sharp. The Queen settled across from him, folding her hands under her head as silence filled the chamber. 2 hearts, 1 human. 1 alien beat through the night. Tomorrow, the real test would begin. Daniel did not sleep much that night. He lay on the soft couch, eyes half closed, but his mind stayed awake. He could hear the slow, calm breaths of Queen Vareli across the room. Once or twice, he looked over and found her watching him through half-lidded eyes, her golden gaze calm but sharp. It was strange to people from different worlds, lying in the same room, under the same roof, but 1,000 questions between them. When the first light of Zalthia's twin moons faded and the soft glow of dawn touched the crystal walls, Daniel sat up. His neck was stiff, but his mind was clear. He did not know what the Queen expected him to say. He only knew he would not lie. Vareli rose from her couch, moving like water. She wore the same simple silver robe. She brushed her hair back from her forehead and sat cross-legged on the carpet. She gestured for Daniel to join her at the low table again. Good morning, Daniel Reed, she said softly. Her voice was calm, but held an edge, like a knife hidden under silk. Did you dream well? Daniel shook his head and gave a tired smile. Didn't have time to dream. I was too busy wondering if I'd wake up in a cell. Vareli tilted her head, amused. If I wanted you in chains, you would be there already. Daniel raised an eyebrow, comforting. The queen did not look angry at his tone. Instead, she poured him a cup of the sweet drink from the night before. Steam rose from the cup. Daniel accepted it but did not drink right away. Vareli's eyes fixed on him like a hawk watching prey. "Tell me more about your people," she said. "Tell me what you truly believe, not what your leaders say, not what your books claim. What does your heart say?" Daniel took a sip of the warm drink. It calmed his dry throat. He thought about his answer. He could speak about Earth's power, its armies, its ships, its pride. But the queen already knew that part. He looked her in the eye. "Humans are stubborn," he said at last. "We fight each other. We fight nature. We fight our own mistakes. Sometimes we do terrible things to survive, but we also build. We learn. We help strangers. We dream big." Vareli's gold eyes softened a little. "Big dreams bring big wars." Daniel nodded. "Yes, we've made mistakes. Bad ones. But we don't run from them forever. We fix what we break, or we try to." The queen stood and began to pace the soft carpet. She was silent for a moment, and she turned, her robe swirling around her. "Feet, you humans have fire. I see that, but fire burns. If I open my doors to you, will you burn my people too?" Daniel stood now too, facing her. He felt his pulse thump in his neck. "Only if you push us away and force us to. If you trust us, work with us, share with us. We don't have to fight each other. We could stand side by side." Vareli's eyes narrowed. Strong words from a man with no army, no crown, no power. Daniel gave a small, tired laugh. "That's what makes them strong. I have nothing to gain by lying to you." A small smile tugged at the corner of Vareli's lips. She stepped closer until they were just a foot apart. Daniel could see the fine silver lines under her lavender skin. It's like living veins of light. "You have spirit," she said softly. "My people fear that spirit. They fear you will change everything we've built for 1,000 years." Daniel did not look away. Maybe change is good. You can't hide behind old walls forever. Silence filled the room again. Then, a knock. At the door broke the moment. The guard stepped inside and bowed deeply. His eyes flicked to Daniel with open dislike before settling on Vareli. "Your Majesty," the guard said in Zalthian. Daniel caught a few words through his translator. "Urgent, council, arrival, treachery." The queen's eyes flashed with annoyance. She turned back to Daniel. "It seems my trusted nobles wish to test you too. Stay close. Listen carefully. Speak. Only if you must." She swept past the guard, and Daniel hurried after her. They walked through grand halls lined with armored statues of old Zalthian kings and queens. Daniel could feel the eyes of passing servants and guards on him, the strange human who dared stand beside their queen like an equal. At last, they entered a round council chamber. 12 nobles in bright robes sat in a circle. Each one wore a thin crown of polished crystal, smaller than Vareli's, but still symbols of power. They looked up sharply as Vareli entered. Their eyes then flicked to Daniel. Whispers rose. Few frowned openly. The oldest noble, a man with pale blue skin and long silver hair, stood and bowed stiffly. "Your Majesty," he said in the musical Zalthian tongue, "we hear strange stories. This human sleeps in your private wing. This human drinks your cups. He walks these halls free. What does this mean?" Vareli's voice was calm but sharp. "It means I test him, and through him I test our future." A noble woman spoke next, her voice cold. "This human is dangerous. His people betrayed us once. They will do it again." Daniel stepped forward before Vareli could answer. "I'm not your enemy," he said clearly. His translator repeated his words in perfect Zalthian. "If you treat me like one, you'll never see the truth about my people." A few nobles hissed, shocked at his boldness. But Vareli's eyes glowed with quiet approval. She raised a hand. Silencing the room. "Enough," she said. "Tonight I decide if he is worthy to stand beside us. You fear him?" The old noble slammed his hand on the table. If you trust this human, prove he is loyal. Let him eat with us tonight. Let him answer our questions. If he lies, the punishment is clear. Varelli turned to Daniel. Do you accept this test? Daniel's mouth felt dry, but he nodded. I accept. Ask what you want. Varelli faced her nobles. So be it. Tonight we break old walls or build new bridges. See if the human spirit burns us or lights our way forward. Daniel met the eyes of every noble around the circle. He saw doubt, anger, curiosity. He did not know what questions would come or what traps they might set. But he knew one thing. He would stand tall, speak true, and prove that humanity would not bow or break. Not tonight, not ever. The council chamber glowed with soft blue light as the nobles settled into their seats again. Daniel felt the weight of 100 eyes on him, not just the nobles, but guards and servants pressed against the far walls, whispering behind cupped hands. Queen Varelli took her seat on a raised crystal throne behind Daniel's right shoulder. Her calm presence gave him courage. She did not speak yet. She let the silence grow like a seed between them and the council. Finally, the old noble with silver hair, Elder Talix, rose and spread his thin fingers on the round table. His crystal crown caught the light and flickered like frozen fire. Daniel. Read, Talix said, his voice echoing in the round room. You say you come in peace. You say your people can be trusted, but words are easy. Show us your heart. Tell us why we should believe you. Daniel stood straight, felt the edge of fear under his ribs, but he did not show it. He looked each noble in the eye as he spoke. When your soldiers found me, I was fixing an engine, Daniel said. I didn't hold a gun. I didn't run. I stayed because if I finished the repairs, my crew could escape. I didn't fight you. I didn't try to trick you. That's who I am. I fix things. I don't break them. A low murmur moved around the circle. A young noblewoman leaned forward. Her crown was smaller than the others. Maybe she was new. To the council. Her voice was sharp but curious. Your people broke trust once already. What if your leaders come back with more warships? What if you help them find our secrets? Daniel met her eyes calmly. If my leaders try again, they'll find me standing in their way. I'll tell them your world is not a prize to steal. It's a people to meet. If they don't listen, then I'll stand with you, not them. The room fell silent. Some nobles frowned deeper, not trusting him. Others seemed to study him more carefully now. Varelli watched without speaking. But her eyes stayed locked on Daniel's back like a shield. Another noble, broad-shouldered and dressed in heavy green cloth, pointed. At Daniel, human, you say you want peace, but you are alone. Powerless. How can we trust a single man when your rulers break promises? Daniel took a breath. He stepped closer to the table, almost leaning over it. Maybe you can't, he said. Not yet. But trust has to start somewhere. Maybe it starts small. Maybe it starts with me. If I leave here alive, maybe I tell my people the truth, that you are not our enemies. That you're people like us. Families, children, dreams. The broad-shouldered noble grunted. And if they ignore you? Daniel did not flinch. Then I keep trying, or I stand in there. Way when they come again. One voice can't stop a war, but it can slow it down. It can plant doubt. That's how real change starts. Elder Talix tapped the table slowly. His blue eyes narrowed at Varelli. My queen, you hear him? He is honest, maybe too honest. But honesty is not loyalty. He should be tested. Not just with words, with actions. Varelli lifted one elegant hand. What test do you suggest, Elder? Talix's eyes flicked to Daniel. Send him outside these walls. Let him help our people in the streets. Let him face those who hate him for what he is. Human. If he survives their anger and brings back good, maybe he speaks true. Daniel's stomach tightened, but he did not look away. He nodded once. Fine. Where do you want me to go? Varelli studied him with sharp, unreadable eyes. Then she stood. Her voice rang through the chamber. So be it. At dawn tomorrow, Daniel Reed will leave the palace. He will work where our people need help most. The broken quarter near the old mines. If he is still alive by dusk, if he helps and brings back proof, then we speak of trust again. A cold whisper spread around the chamber. The old mines were a rough place. Poor workers, angry families, old wounds. Not everyone. There would care for the Queen's new game with a human guest. Daniel's heart thumped hard. But he only said, "I understand." Varelli stepped closer, her robe brushing his arm. In a voice only he could hear, she said, "Do not fail me, Daniel Reed. I risk much for you." Daniel looked into her golden eyes. "Then I won't fail." Guards led him from the council chamber, back to the quiet guest wing. The palace felt colder now, the soft crystal halls like a maze of silent watchers. Servants avoided his eyes, some whispered behind his back. Inside his small room, Daniel sat on the edge of the low bed. He pressed his hands together and stared at the floor. This was worse than any test he had taken on Earth. No machines to fix, no engines to tune. Only hearts to win, hearts that hated him for who he was. He remembered Varelli's words, "Do not fail me." Failure meant more than his death. If he failed, maybe the fragile chance of peace would die too. He thought about the Queen, her calm strength, her sharp mind. He wondered why she risked her people's anger to trust one human engineer. He did not know her true reason yet. But he knew one thing, she had given him a chance. He would not waste it. As night came again, Daniel lay on the soft bed, but did not sleep much. He heard quiet footsteps in the hallway, guards passing, servants whispering. He wondered if any of them would be waiting for him tomorrow. Angry faces, thrown stones, hard words. He pictured Earth's shining cities, his family far away, the people who might never know what he was doing tonight. He thought of the Queen again, her golden eyes watching him when she thought he was asleep. A single human alone on an alien world. Tomorrow, he would stand in the broken streets, surrounded by those who saw him as the enemy. He would show them who he really was. One repairman, one voice, a single spark of hope. Sleep finally came, slow and heavy. When dawn broke over the Crystal Palace, Daniel Reed would rise ready to prove himself. He had to, for the Queen, for his people, for the future waiting in the dark. Dawn came soft and pale across the spires of the Crystal Palace. Daniel stood near the gate and clothes the Queen's servants had given him, plain dark trousers, simple tunic, a light cloak. He touched the edge of the cloak. It felt thin, but it was better than nothing. A guard handed him a small pack with some dried food and a bottle of water. The guard did not smile. "If you run," he said flatly, "we will find you. And if we don't, the people out there will." Daniel only nodded. "I'm not running." Queen Varelli stood a few steps away. Morning light turned her silver crown to gold. She watched him in silence for a moment, then stepped closer. "Okay." Her guards stayed back, giving them a pocket of privacy. "Not trust everyone," Varelli said softly. "Broken Quarter is no palace. Some hate me as much as they hate you. They will test your words with stones and fire." Daniel forced a small grin. "Good thing I'm stubborn." Varelli's golden eyes softened, just for a moment. "Return before dusk," she said. "Bring proof that you did what you promised, or the council will call you a liar. They will call me a fool for trusting you." Daniel met her eyes, did not bow, but he gave her a short, steady nod. "I won't fail you." Then he turned and walked through the palace gates. Behind him, the crystal towers glowed in the soft sun. Ahead, the city of Zalthia spread like a broken crown, shining spires, grand halls, but at the edge, gray rooftops, and cracked stone streets. That was where he was going. The broken quarter smelled of smoke and old metal. Houses were built from old scrap and half-fallen stone walls. Children stared at him with wide eyes, then ran to hide behind ragged cloth. Daniel kept walking, trying to look calm. He felt every eye on him. Some people muttered to each other in Zalthian. The translator on his wrist caught only pieces, human traitor. Queen's dog. He came to a small square where a market once stood. Now it was half empty. A few stalls sold old parts, stale food, cracked pottery. A woman with tired eyes sat. On the ground with her baby in her arms, Daniel crouched beside her. "Are you all right?" he asked. She flinched away from him. "Go away, human. You bring trouble." "I'm here to help," Daniel said. Opened his pack and pulled out a small wrapped bread. He set it gently beside her. She did not thank him, but she did not push it away either. He kept moving. He found a group of young boys pushing an old cart with a broken wheel. They were trying to lift it over a pothole. Daniel set down his pack and walked over. "Let me help," he said. The boys glared at him. One, taller than the rest, stepped forward and spat at Daniel's boots. "Go back to your palace, human rat," Daniel sighed. "'Kay." He knelt by the wheel. "If I fix this, you can carry twice as much. Maybe you aren't enough for a hot meal tonight." They stared as he pulled off the broken wheel. I found some old rope in the cart and used it to tie the axle. He took a piece of metal from his pack, an old tool he had saved from his wrecked ship. He used it to shape the wheel rim tighter. It was not perfect, but it would hold for a while. When he was done, he stood and stepped back. "Try it now." The boys pushed the cart forward. It rolled smoother. They stared at him, then at each other. The tallest boy muttered, "Still a rat, but maybe not useless." Daniel just shrugged and walked on. As the sun climbed higher, he worked where he could. He helped lift a fallen beam from a collapsed hut, used scraps to patch a leaking pipe that spilled dirty water into the street. He gave half his water bottle to an old man who sat coughing by a broken wall. Not everyone thanked him. Some threw insults instead of stones. But no one attacked him outright. Some watched him with narrow eyes, trying to guess his game. Once, near a burned-out forge, a man twice Daniel's size blocked his way. The man's skin was dark purple, his arms thick with old work scars. "You think one human can fix all this?" The man growled. "You think we forget what your people did?" Daniel did not back down. He pointed to the ruined forge. "Help me start that fire again. We melt scrap. We shape new tools. Or you can stand here and shout at me all day. Up to you." For a moment, Daniel thought the man would strike him. But instead, the big man spat on the ground and stomped past him. Together, they found bits of dry wood, old coal, scraps of metal. They worked in silence for an hour. When the forge finally glowed again, the man only nodded once and walked away. Daniel wiped sweat from his brow. His arms ached. His throat was dry. But inside, a small spark of hope glowed too. By dusk, Daniel stood again in the square. Some children watched him from a distance. The woman with the baby gave him a tired smile. This time, the tall boy with the cart rolled it past and muttered, "Don't die tonight, human. Some here still hate you." Daniel just gave a tired grin. "I'll try not to." He turned toward the palace gates. His cloak was torn. His hands were black with soot and dirt. He had nothing in his pack now except the broken tool he had used all day. But he had stories, witnesses, people who might speak of him when the nobles asked. As he crossed back through the city, a few rough voices called after him, curses, threats. One stone flew past his shoulder and bounced off a wall. He did not look back, kept walking. When he reached the palace gates, guards stepped forward. He stared at his dirt-stained clothes, his bruised arms. One guard asked, "Did you run?" "Human." Daniel held up his broken tool. "No, I fixed what I could. Ask them if you don't believe me." Inside the palace, Queen Varelli waited in a quiet garden under tall, glowing trees. She rose as Daniel limped toward her. She looked at his torn cloak, his hands, his tired eyes. "Did they test you?" she asked softly. Daniel gave a weak grin. "They did, but I'm still here." Varelli stepped closer. For a moment, her royal mask slipped. She touched his arm gently, just above a new bruise. "Rest tonight," she said. "Tomorrow, the council will hear what you did. Be ready. They will not trust easily." Daniel looked up at the night sky, the twin moons shining above the crystal towers. He felt the dirt on his skin, the ache in his bones. But inside, he felt strong. "I'll be ready," he he said. The next morning, the palace glowed bright under the early sun. Servants moved quietly through the crystal halls. Daniel sat alone on a stone bench in the garden, where Queen Varelli had left him the night before. He was washed now, the dirt and soot gone, but his arms still ached, and there were purple bruises on his side. A servant had brought him a fresh tunic, pale blue silk that looked strange on his rough hands. He turned the broken tool in his fingers, the same piece of metal he'd used to fix the boy's cart and the leaking pipes. He could not fix everything with it, but maybe he had fixed enough. When a soft footstep sounded, he looked up. Queen Varelli stood before him. Today she wore a robe the color of deep ocean water. Her crown was simple, but her eyes were bright and sharp. "Come," she said, "the council is ready." Daniel rose, slipping the tool into his pocket. He fell into step beside her. They walked through the tall doorways, past silent guards who lowered their eyes as they passed. "Did they speak of me?" Daniel asked quietly. "They did," Varelli said. "Some came to the palace last night. The woman with the child. The old man near the broken wall. They spoke of what you did." She paused and looked sideways at him. "Some hate you less today than they did yesterday." Daniel let out a breath. "It's a start." Delee's lips curved in a faint smile. "Yes, a start." Inside the council chamber, the nobles were waiting. Elder Talix sat at the center. His eyes flicked over Daniel's bruises and clean tunic. He tapped the table with one finger. "Daniel Reed, Talix," said, his voice echoing off the crystal walls. "You have returned." "Why?" Daniel stood straight, did not look at Varelli for help. He faced the old noble himself. "I gave my word," Daniel said. "I helped who I could. I didn't hide in the palace. I showed your people I'm not here to take, but to give." The young noblewoman leaned forward. "We heard you gave bread to the hungry. You fixed pipes, carts, fires, but one human cannot heal all our wounds. So why should we trust you?" Daniel stepped closer to the round table. He pulled the broken tool from his pocket and held it up so all could see. "On earth, we say, trust is built, piece by piece." He said, "Like this tool, it's old, half-broken, but it works if you use it right. That's me. I can't fix everything, but I can fix some things. I can teach others. I can speak for your people when my people come back. If I stand alone, then I stand alone. But maybe next time, I don't stand alone. Maybe someone stands beside me." Murmurs ran around the room. Some nobles nodded slowly. Others whispered doubts. Elder Talix folded his hands. "You speak well, human, but words and small acts are not enough. If the humans come again with warships, what will you do? Surrender your own people?" Daniel's eyes hardened. "I will stand on your wall. I will fight if I must. Not because I want war, but because I won't let my people make the same mistake twice." There was silence. Then Varelli rose. Her robe swept behind her like the tide. She stepped close to Daniel's side. "You have heard him, Varelli," said her voice calm but strong. "He risked his life in our streets. He worked where some of you fear to go. He earned trust with sweat and blood. He did not run when he could have. And I say this now, I stand with him." Gasps echoed. Around the table, some nobles frowned. A few older ones looked ready to protest. But Varelli lifted one slim hand, silencing them all. "If the humans come again, they will find Daniel Reed at my side," Varelli said. "They will hear his voice before they hear my weapons. If they want to take what is ours, they will know. They must break him first. If they try, they will find me beside him." She turned to Daniel. For a moment, it felt as if the whole world faded. "You came here as a stranger," Varelli said softly. "You stand here now as my guest and my promise. From this day, no hand shall harm you while you stand under my roof. And if you wish to stay, then stay. If you wish to return home, I will help you. But know this, you are not alone anymore." Daniel felt a tightness in his throat. He bowed his head slightly. "Thank you, my queen." After the council dismissed, Varelli led him back through the empty halls. The golden sun spilled through tall crystal windows. They stopped by a small balcony that looked over the city. Far below, the broken quarter lay in soft shadows. But today, Daniel saw something else there. Tiny shapes moving, people gathering. Maybe they were telling each other stories of a human who had helped them. Maybe not all stories would be good, but they would spread piece by piece. Varelli stood beside him, silent for a while. Then she asked, "Will you stay?" Daniel turned to her. "Do you want me to?" She met his eyes, unblinking. "I need you here, Daniel Reed. Not just as a guest, not just as a voice, but as someone who can remind my people and me that trust is built slowly, and sometimes it needs a stubborn heart." Daniel laughed softly. "You think I'm stubborn?" Varelli's lips curved into a rare small smile. "More than anyone I know." They stood side by side, watching the city breathe under the rising sun. Far beyond, somewhere among the stars, Earth waited. Maybe one day he would return. Maybe one day he would stand before his own leaders and tell them what he had seen here: an alien queen, a broken city, and a chance for something new. But for now, Daniel Reed, engineer, stranger, stubborn heart, stayed where he was needed most. He slipped the broken tool back into his pocket. He felt Varelli's hand brush against his, warm and light. No promises spoken aloud, but a promise lived in quiet action. In a city that needed fixing, piece by piece, and Daniel Reed knew, as long as he drew breath under Varelli's roof, he would keep building trust. One small repair at a time.